my soul brothers and soul sisters. I am Ron Smith, and this is the Dr. Ron Smith Investigate Show, where we separate the real from fake, the fact from fiction, and give you the winner's edge. And sometimes we're able to turn your water into wine. Today's show is Where Are You on Your Financial Journey? Where are you on your financial journey? In this world, you have three type of people. You have people who make things happen. You have people who watch things happen. And then you have people who wonder what happened. One of today's, I'm going to do this demonstration. There was a financial planner went to a elementary school, and he showed about 10 students, what would you do if you had $100? And believe it or not, 9 out of 10 said they would spend it. We are bombarded by consumerism in our social media, television, advertisement, everywhere that you go. Everybody's trying to get you to buy something. Everybody has something to sell, whether it's information, material things, et cetera, et cetera. And if you don't have a plan for your money, other people have a plan for you. One of the things I know that separates let's say the poor, the middle class, and the wealthy is 3 things: spend, save, invest. When you talk about people who are not wealthy, the first thing they want to do with this $100 bill, they want to spend it. The middle class, the first thing they want to do with this $100 bill is invest it or save it. The rich and the wealthy, they want to make babies out of this, which means they have money to make more money. And one of the things is that you have to have a wealth mindset. So when you get your money, you have to have a plan for it, because if you don't have a plan for it, other people will have a plan for you with your money. And what I mean by that, the poor see money as paying bills and to create a living. The middle class want to save for college or retirement. That's what the first thing they think about. The wealthy, when they see money, what they want to do is multiply, which means that basically they don't spend the seed money. They want this money to multiply. So basically they figure out ways to invest this $100 bills to make it 1,000, and that 1,000 to make it 10,000, and that 10,000 to make it 100,000, and 100,000 to make it 1,000,000. So it all depends on the mindset. One thing I know for sure is that it's not how much money that you make, it's how much money you keep. And the only way that you can actually keep your money that you have, because there's a lot of things that are out there trying to get in your pocket. And there's a lot of things that separate you from your money. And I'm going to just talk about 2 of those things. One of the things is debt, taxes, and inflation. If you live in this world, and if you're not inherit a great deal of wealth, that means that basically we're going to talk about whether you're going to earn or create your money. Is that if you don't have your assets and liabilities and your income and your expenses squared away, then you don't have a plan to produce more of your income. Debt is one of those things that could be good or bad. If you use good debt, which means, and I'm going to talk about later, is that you use leverage. And leverage is actually what I call using OPM, other people's money. In order to buy a large ticket item, you can either save for it and have that delayed gratification, or basically you can have what I call, you could go to a financial institution and get a loan for it. So let's say that basically I wanted to buy a $350,000 house. Normally I have to have between 3% and 20%, all depends on another thing, my credit score, how much I can actually get from that credit union. That is buying a car is another item that we need to, if you can't purchase it all in cash, is that you have to use leverage. So, which means that basically you have to create a debt, so to speak. Now, I know I need transportation to get to work or get to move around and do certain things. Therefore, that would, to me, that would be a good debt. Now, purchasing a home, if I use that home properly, I can make it work for me. And I'm going to give you more details on that later. But basically, for leaving a legacy for my children, that would be considered a good debt. But also that could work against me. But that's a whole nother subject. So basically, having a proper mindset of how you spend, save, and invest, you can make all these things work for you. But you cannot just stop at just being a consumer and spending. Or you just can't stop just being a saver, because basically it all depends on how you're using that. Let me give you a case in point. You should have in your portfolio at least 3 to 6 months of what we call emergency fund. I don't like to use the term emergency fund, because if you label that, you're going to get one. So I like to have a resource fund, 3 to 6 months, because you never know. The big companies, Microsoft, Twitter, Tesla, has always been in the news of laying off people. And matter of fact, even the Silicon Valley is laying off people. So no matter what your profession you are in, unless you in certain professions like the medical professions, nurses, doctors, etc., there are professions that are inflation proof, or I would say recession proof. But if you are in something that the artificial intelligence AI or the chat GPT can replace you, you have to be sure that part of your protection is that you have 3 to 6 months or a year to have that resource fund. By chance, if you get laid off, the average time that you're going to be laid off right now is averaging 27 months. So basically, that's just what you're looking forward to get back into the position or what you had before. So can you actually maintain your standard of living that long until you find something to replace it with? And that's one of the things that we have to have the mindset and take control of how our spending, saving, and how we earn. And one of the things that I go back on the basics, and I share this thing. Basically, we either earn and create things, having a career or having what we call, your business or small business or side hustle. Always make sure that you are doing something, creating additional income. One income will be a very challenge for you to be financially sufficient. You have to have more than one income. Now, that could be your investment, could be another income stream that's coming in, or you can have another side hustle as an income stream. Because basically, being a one source, once that source is knocked out, then basically you pretty much dead in the water. And that's one of the things that you never want to be vulnerable. I know for sure a lot of people go to work because they have to, because of the lifestyle they have created, not so much that they like the job that they have. But the only way that you really can like the job you have is taking control of your finances. You must control your finances. So I'm going to go over the earn and create. You have to learn how to manage, which means that basically, you got to know what the cash flow is. You got to know what money's coming in and what's going out. That's the first thing you have to do. And the only way you can do that is creating a budget. And basically, I guess my basic small blueprint for that is the 40, 30, 20, 10, which means that 40% of your income should be on your needs. Basically, that's your mortgage or your rent and your groceries, clothes. Clothes I put into the 30%, which is one, because a lot of us are still working from home. We're doing the Zoom thing, so we don't have to have the business suits and that we normally would have. But now since post-COVID, we're going to this vision of business casual. So a lot of stuff that you probably still have to rearrange your outfit. So basically, you still would maintain whatever standard that your office adhere to. So that's part of your management. You have to understand with your cash flow in, cash flow out, and the only way that you do that is understanding what your income expenses are and your assets and liability. And I mentioned about leverage as far as being able to buy the big ticket items. There's good debt, there's bad debt. Bad debt is anything that's turned out that basically is disposable. Good debt is things that you can invest in and things that is going to work for you. Like I said, a car is good debt. A house is very good debt. Even if I take that to another level, my advice would be actually buying a duplex or buying a quadplex. So basically, that's when you really putting that in on steroids, which means basically, if you do it correctly, you buy your duplex. Now you could be your own property manager, which means basically you're instant in business. So any business expense pertaining to that duplex or that quadplex, you can write it off as an expense. So the difference between having earned income or create income is that basically you earn, you tax, and then you spend what's left over. As a business, you earn, you write off all the expensive, and then you spend what's left over. So that was just my little tip that I'm gonna probably delve into a little bit more about business later. But basically, that's how you make leverage to your advantage. With all that said and done, you have to protect what you have, which means that everybody knows that you need health, life insurance, et cetera, et cetera. If you have a house, or if you have the mortgage insurance, if your credit score is not up to par, you have to get credit insurance. But at the same time, you have to have insurance on the building that you live in. You have to have renter's insurance if you're renting, and along with the personal insurance that you have. One of the things that I'm gonna jump back into the leverage thing is when you start a business, part of your protection is that you don't want to be all the assets in your name. And one way that you protect that is creating your own limited liability company or corporation, et cetera, et cetera. That is another form of protection. So before we take a break, think about the last time you had a $100 bill. What exactly did you do with it? Going to the break. Hello, my soul brothers and soul sisters. We're talking about where are you on your financial journey. One of the things that I know for sure is that you're on a journey or not. Maybe your journey might be a little rocky right now because you didn't plan it out. Sometimes we think this is automatic pilot. One of the reasons why I started this podcast because I didn't have this conversation, and more I'm talking to other people. If I'm at a party or any type of outdoor, etc., I'm talking about money because I know for sure that this is one of the subjects that we need to talk to. Now, I know a lot of people have a lot to say about different things. We think the political situation is the solution to some of our problems. We think that the government is a part of the solution to some of our problems. And my whole thing is that we should have all those things taken apart of addressing some of the ills in our community. But first, I going to do some broken English right now. You need to get your money right, because it doesn't matter. You can. What good is me to be able to go to Harvard University, and I get into that environment where all these multimillionaire and millionaire children there, and I feel inadequate because I can't, go to the Hamptons. I can't go to the Maldives. I can't go to tour Europe in the summer. If I don't feel confident in myself and I don't have control over the assets that I do have, then you're going to have your self-esteem is going to be challenged, and it's going to be challenged daily. And the thing about it is that one of my favorite cities is San Diego in California. One of my favorite places in San Diego is La Jolla. And I also tell this story that basically if you drive through the high school of La Jolla High School and you drive through the parking lot, if you see all the Chevys and the Fords and let's say the Toyotas, that's where the teachers' parking lot is. If you go to the other side, you see where the BMWs and the Jags and the Corvettes, that's where the students' parking lot is. Now, what is that situation presents to me telling you as an authority figure what you should do and what you should, as a counselor, what you should aspire to. Now, I know that we should not be hung up on material things, and I get it. But my point is, part of your financial plan and part of your financial current financial position is part of your esteem. And I don't know about you, but I grew up below the poverty line, and I know basically how that affected me. And also, as I grew up and I started seeing the statistics of people who grew up in my economic status was not even considered when you go to the city council or when you go to the local government. When if you, God forbid, I never had to go before a judge and a magistrate, because if I did, I would have been on my own, because basically financially, my family couldn't even, write a common what you call it, one of those bonds that you can write for yourself. And believe it or not, there's still debtor's prison. There's a lot of people who can't pay the fine. They're in jail right now because they couldn't pay the fines, a $500 fine. They're in jail over 30 days because nobody in their family had $500 to pay the fine. Now, I know that's maybe kind of simplistic, but my point is that if you don't have your money right, there's a lot of things that a lot of challenges that you can't overcome. So basically, let's take, for instance, if you are in credit card debt, and right now, United States is over $1 trillion in credit card debt, and that not only talk about the poor, we're talking about middle class and upper middle class, because see, remember what I said, it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. And just because I am driving the Jag and I'm living in a townhouse on, the other side of town, and I'm flossing and I'm dressing and I have the jewelry and I'm eating at all these fancy restaurants, if I'm making, let's say, $10,000 a month and I'm spending $12,000 a month, eventually that's going to catch up with me. So a lot of times we see people with the assets that we can actually quantify. And one of my teachers at college, and I'm not going to use the 3-letter words he said, but he said that if it's on your is not an asset. It's not on your blank SS. It's not an asset. Fill in the blank. So what do we do? People don't plan to fail. They fail to plan. So how do we get out of this hamster wheel that we are on? We have to have a plan. We have to understand the cash flowing in and the cash flowing out. And we have to understand where the holes are. So as homework this week, what I want you to do is on your calendar, each day, see how much you're spending, which is if you eat now for breakfast, if you before you go into Starbucks, what you're doing for lunch, and if you eat now for dinner. If you do that every day for the next 5 days of your work week, you will see where your money is going. So every month you have to see what your major bills are, where your money is going. I guarantee you there are some leaks, some holes that you need to patch up. There's some subscriptions, and there's some Netflix, et cetera, that you need to cancel. Now, I'm not the type of guy to tell you that basically you have to go lean, which means that basically you got to stop doing this, you got to stop doing that, you can't do this, you can't do that. No. Life is for living, and I think you should enjoy that. But at the same time, we need to be careful how we do it. Now, I'm a Starbucks guy. I used to go to Starbucks almost every morning. But here's my Starbucks hat. I went to Walmart and Target, and there's a double shot of an espresso in the can that costs like $2.35. If I go to Starbucks, it's gonna cost me like $4. I didn't deny my double shot. What I did is find a hack that I can get around that. So let's say that $2.50 per day is going to add up to, maybe, $75 at the end of the year or half the year. But that's money that I can use for something else. Now, see, here's the key. One of the things that you have to get away from is using a credit card. Because, see, when you use a credit card, you can't keep track of what you're doing. Now, if one of the things I have started doing now is I put myself on allowance with cash. So, if I give myself $300 for the 2 weeks, I can't go back in. I have to use that $200. Now, I haven't averaged that out per day, but the simple fact that is that I know that I'm not spending what I used to spend. But when I see that this $100 bill once you spend this $100 bill, let's say I buy something for lunch, maybe costs $15. After I spend that, this whole bill just evaporate. I can't tell you where it went from that point on. But at the same time, if I use my credit card, all I do is use the credit card. Every time I swipe it, I can't keep track of it. And I know basically, you can get the apps on your phone to track what you spend. I know all that. Yeah, but who actually live that way? Now, I do have some nerd friends who actually can do that. Now, me, that ain't me, but at the same time, I don't think that you have to go to that extreme to actually start curtailing where you're spending and where you're going. But my point is that once you start writing it down or using your setting up a app on your cell phone, you can start getting more control. So the whole idea is changing your mindset from just spending to saving for, let's say, your resource fund, and learning how to invest your money. Therefore, your money can make more money. That's the whole key. Now, when I say save, I'm talking about a high yield savings account. I'm not just talking about just a regular bank account. I'm talking about a high yield savings account. Right now, if you go to a regular bank, you might just get 0.05% 4% on your money. The high yield savings account, you get 4%. So if you think about the whole deal, you are, that's how you are investing your money. Just making that small change right there, and over the year, you probably save by $25, where you probably just get $5 on your regular savings account. Just a small things that you can do. Now, let's say that you do have that $12,000 on that, let's say, worth of debt, credit card, et cetera, et cetera. Now, there's two ways you can do it. Now, one way they call the snowball effect, which means basically you line up all of your debts and you pay the smallest one off first, and use the money that you paid that one off. Let's say you can pay it off in 2 months. And 2 months from now, you double up on the next one. And then that point, you pay that one off in 3 months. Then the next one, you double up on that one and pay that one off. They call it the snowball effect. Now, the other one is called the avalanche, which means you take the highest return, like right now, your credit card bill interest rate has went up. I don't know if you realize that or not. With our credit in the United States, Fitch just downgraded us. So yes, that do affect you. And so some people pay off the highest credit card rate and then go work their way down from the middle down to the lowest. That is one of your choices. But my whole emphasis is that you need to do something to get control. It's almost like taking control of your life. I was talking with a good friend of mine who has been bullied for, let's say, last 6 months. Once this person decided that they're not going to stop, they're going to stop this bullying to the point where this person got their point across, and that the bullying subsided for the simple fact this person starts standing up for themselves. So I'm encouraging you, stand up for your finances, because it's the same thing. So let's talk about the 40, 30, 20. There are needs. You're going to have a roof over your head. You're going to have groceries. You're going to have a reasonable, utilities. Wants, that can fluctuate. I think every man should have at least 3 to 5 different suits. You should have a black, blue, and a dark gray. Now, you can have a tan one and you can have another summer one, but that's as when you start, getting your promotions and stuff. But the 20% is saving, debt, and investing. I already talked a bit about savings. I talked about debt, investing. Now, you can have that plan that basically I'm going to get out of the apartment and I want to buy my own townhouse. First thing I need you to do is make sure you know what your credit score is, and you can get your annualcreditscore.com. You get your credit score, see if there are any blemishes on it. But if you have late payments or no payments, or if you overutilize your credit card, you're going to have some blemishes on it. You need to know what your score is. And basically, your credit score is just your financial report, whether your credit worthiness. The lowest you can have is 300, and I pray to God you never go anywhere close to that. But the average is any 580 and below is not a good score. You need something 580 and above, because even you do buy a car, and I gave my testimony a couple of months ago about how I thought it was a skin thing, but actually it was a credit thing. How my peers was able to get Corvettes and Mercedes and Porsches, and I was only able to get a new Sentra. It's only because my credit score is bad. So how do we wrap this whole thing up? Whether you're going to be in the spend, save, investment is a choice. You can change that by having your plan. And the plan begins with knowing what your cash flow is, what's going in and what's going out. And having a plan for what you want to do from this point on. As we continue to talk about finance, which I think is the key to your self-esteem and the key to your legacy. I thank you for your time. My time is up, and I thank you for yours.